Good evening, everybody. I'd like to call to order the Manlius Town Board meeting for January 22nd, 2025 at roughly 6:30 p.m. As always, we are remote and virtual. If you're interested in joining us via the Zoom, we have instructions at the top of each of our agendas, and we do live stream to Facebook, YouTube, and to our own website. Next up, I'm going to ask Councilor Crystal to lead the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, so we do have a public comment forum. Is this for the public hearing that we've got scheduled?
Yes, it is, John.
Thank you. We do have a letter from a resident to read open podium. Is there anyone else here for open podium? If there's anyone here in the Zoom, please use the raise hand function if you're here for open podium. We do have a public hearing on a quarry permit renewal later on. So if you're here for that, save your comments to that portion.
This letter was received today in the clerk's office. My name is Steve Hofer, and I'm a town of Manlius resident. Last week, while I was reviewing my 2025 property tax bill, I noticed an error on the town tax levy line. I called Laura Pichelle on January 14th. She told me she wasn't aware of any problems and that I should speak with the town supervisor. I did speak with Duffy Hartnett, explained the issue, sent him a spreadsheet showing my calculations, and asked if the error was with the levy, the tax rate, or the total assessment. I also copied Mr. Deere and the town board. Yesterday, I contacted Mr. Hartnett, and he told me the town tax levy line was incorrect. Rather than 11.3 million and a 3% decrease from the prior year, as shown on our property tax bill, he said the levy was 13.7 million, which would be a 17.5% increase. He also explained that the error was made by the county, and he thanked me for bringing this issue to the town's attention. This morning, I spoke with Laura Pichelle again. She confirmed the error. I asked if corrected tax bills would be sent out. She thought that would be too confusing and costly. I believe taxpayers have the right to know about this error. When I first looked at my 2025 property tax bill, I was delighted to see the town board reduce spending by 3%. Having now learned the town board increased spending by 17.5% from last year and more than 25% over the last 2 years, I believe the town supervisor and town board owe an explanation to taxpayers and need to be transparent with them. I would recommend that you at least send a letter to all affected taxpayers explaining, one, how the error occurred and what you're doing to ensure that the county's property tax database contains the corrected tax bill information. Two, why our town taxes have gone up more than 25% over the last 2 years, while the Onondaga County property tax has decreased over the same period. Three, why the town hasn't been able to live within the state tax cap law, which limits the annual growth of property taxes to 2% or the rate of inflation. And four, how the town plans to get back on track to reduce the town tax levy in the future and abide by the state tax cap law, i.e., if you did stay within the state tax cap law, our 2025 town tax levy would have been about 2 million less. Thank you, Steve Hofer.
So we did, we're working on getting confirmation from the county. It does look like the town tax levy is incorrect on some of the tax bills. We're talking about ways to get that information out to folks, including our website, social media, and likely working with the Eagle Bulletin and possibly Syracuse.com to let everybody know that that was incorrect. It appears that we have.
I did speak with Onondaga County Real Property Tax Office today. The director is out of town. He's going to call me tomorrow. They did confirm that it was an error in the printing, but it did not affect the tax rates. The tax rates are all correct. They're looking into it, and I will let you know when I hear from them.
Great. So once we have an understanding of exactly what went wrong, we'll let everybody know through some of the channels that we have. And then to the rest of the points in the letter, we've been pretty much discussing the budget at every opportunity for the past few meetings. I think the conversation is out there, and obviously this next year's budget, I'm sure we're going to have 10, 20, 30 people at every budget public hearing to have a conversation. So we'll continue that conversation as we move forward. Anyone else for open podium?
And could you ask them tomorrow if, since it was their mistake, if they cover the cost of sending something out? Like, why should we have to bear that
Nothing has
cost?
to get said that.
Yeah, but if we decided to do a letter, we shouldn't have to.
We're not gonna spend $10,000 telling people to lose on this program like that. We'll get the information out, and anybody that calls to ask what's wrong, they'll be notified. It's not like we collected the wrong taxes or something. It's a clerical error that of course happened. Anyone else from podium? Anyone on Zoom? Okay. So we're rolling along. I do apologize, I'm a little bit under the weather, so I'm gonna do my best to keep it together. We do have a public hearing. This is for the TH Kinsella Natural Resource Removal Permit Renewal. Just an important note I wanna cover prior to opening the public hearing is this is specifically about the existing quarry. I know there are conversations happening about a future quarry and an expansion of the current quarry, but what we're talking about tonight is specifically about the existing quarry and the renewal of that permit. So with that, I will ask, we have a different representation. Okay. Mr. Kinsella, would you like to come up and just give us a quick overview and then we'll open up the public hearing.
Very quick, try to keep it as simple as we can here. As your Supervisor Deere said, we're here to renew our natural resource removal permit. It's a special use permit that comes due every 7 years. We're requesting the renewal of the existing permit. The original permit was issued in 1982. It was updated in 2003. We acknowledge that there's some changes that occurred over that time. But at this time, we feel it's best to renew this permit as is, with the same terms and conditions. And there's been some things that have changed that I think the board's aware of. One of them being, we've come to agreement with the neighbors to hopefully put in for our zone changes for a small expansion of the quarry. And if we're able to obtain that, then I think would be the time to update that special use permit with the terms and conditions that we've agreed upon with the neighbors and make those appropriate changes at that time. So if we renew this as is, we'll be able to just continue as we have been for the last 40 years or so and have that permit. And like I said, we can modify the terms and conditions of the permit if and when we were able to get that zone change. So I just want to keep it simple like that and not muddy the waters, and like I think the supervisor tried to announce, not mix the different things that we've got going on. This just happened to come up in the middle of it every 7 years, and that's why we're here. So that's what we're requesting at this point.
Say the board members have questions.
So I did review the existing permit and would propose to all of us that we just eliminate the things that are inaccurate in it, not to put in anything new, but just eliminate a couple of the clauses about the,
Environmental council.
Yeah,
That was
council.
gonna be my question too. We
yeah,
can't
just,
consider it as
just,
is.
we
'cause
can't
as
really
is is
renew
not
it, because the council doesn't exist, the commission doesn't exist, so I was just gonna suggest that we make it shorter and just cut out the sections that are gone, but not like change the terms.
And then
of-
add the appropriate stuff at a later
and
date.
add the other stuff later.
And I will apologize for not having the current documentation up. I do owe our attorneys some language around the current quarry commission, as well as getting the agreement. So that'll be up on the next agenda. The intent is to hold this public hearing open because we don't have those documents prepared. So we'll still have a
Thank you.
conversation
I heard from some residents today requesting an answer.
Mm-hmm.
We can't give comment on something we can't see. So I said, well, I will recommend it. We will do it open. I'm glad we've already decided to.
So if you're okay with that, we'll just sort of make some connections on a couple of, there's whole sections to just eliminate, and then I think we're done.
Sounds good. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So with that, I would look for
So I would make a motion to waive the reading. Second,
all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion carries.
make a motion to open the public hearing. Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion carries. Come on. And then just, once this one wraps up, if you'd like to raise your hand to come up next, Or if you're in the Zoom audience, please do use the raise hand function to do up.
I have a prepared statement. My name is Mary Karpinski. I live at 8300 Salt Springs Road in Manlius. And I'm thankful for the opportunity to be able to comment on the permit renewal. TH Consolidated Quarry is requesting renewal of its permit for natural resource removal. Documents regarding the permit renewal were posted on the December 18, 2024 Town Board agenda. Based on the application for the renewal filed on November 12, 2024, the quarry has not requested any change to the permit issued on December 6, 2017. The 2017 permit required a 3-member quarry monitoring committee consisting of a representative from the town, a representative from the neighboring community, and a representative of TH Consolidated Quarry. Members were to be appointed by the town board. According to a quarry report issued in 2017, the quarry monitoring committee adjourned and would only meet as needed going forward. The role of the Quarry Monitoring Commission was to review blast logs, air quality reports, well monitoring on Salt Springs Road and Townsend Road, noise monitoring, dust control actions, burn maintenance, and complaints made by homeowners. This past year, a Quarry Commission was formed by the Town Council to address the operation and expansion of the TH Consolidated Quarry. In 2025, the town budget recorded an appropriation of $10,000 provided by the county to fund a quarry commission. How will these funds be used? I and my neighbors who live near the quarry are directly affected by quarry operations and by changes that will happen if the pending zoning applications for expansion of the Fayetteville site and relocation are approved. We are stakeholders and want to be informed about blasting in the expanded area and what will happen if and when the Fayetteville site is closed. Transparency, communication, and dialogue are essential to enabling the quarry and its neighbors to maintain a cooperative relationship. I am requesting the town to appoint a representative from each of the following neighborhoods impacted by the quarry to serve on the Quarry Commission, and that minutes of the commission and annual reports submitted to the submitted by the quarry to the town be posted on the town website. The neighborhoods impacted that should be represented on the Quarry Commission include Salt Springs Road, Townsend Road, Changing Seasons, Route 5, Horseshoe Lane, Gulf Road, as the quarry seeks to relocate operations. A 3-member commission is not sufficient to address the impact on these neighborhoods. Residents deserve to be informed and to have a forum to address their concerns. I am asking that the permit renewal include provisions and guidelines for the Quarry Commission. Thank you.
Can you get a copy of it?
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Next up.
So my name is Craig Goetze. I want to give a schizophrenic response because I only met Mary a few minutes ago. We talked a little bit. I am a member of the Quarry Commission. As you know, the Quarry Commission only was recently reinstituted, and I won't say it's fully functioning yet, but it is in existence. There are some things Mary addressed that have been addressed not directly by the Quarry Commission as much as by the pending agreement. When I say pending, because while it's been signed, it hasn't been finalized in its ultimate terms. An agreement between the Changing Seasons neighborhood and the Consolidated Quarries. And the things that are relevant to what Mary asked about have to do with air quality monitoring, which have been up in existence for about a year and a quarter. These were at the initiative of Changing Seasons neighborhood, and a promise from Tom Kinsella to increase additional monitoring from the eastern side of the quarry. In the $10,000 grant from the county of Onondaga is specifically addressed to securing a semi-permanent seismic monitor, which would be useful for determining the effects of glass on neighborhoods. An element that's part of our agreement but is not yet in place is a crack gauge monitor. And a crack gauge monitor is to measure the effects of glass, but also environmental effects on residents. If there is a crack in a foundation, because there are, in addition to perhaps seismic effects, also hydrological effects, freeze-thaw cycle effects, and so on, there's a way of trying to rule in and rule out causes of what may be causing damage to homes. I don't speak as an advocate for Casella quarries. I speak to inform the board and to other residents of other actions we have taken that have consequences to this renewal. So we're moot on the question of whether or not it should be renewed. We don't advocate for it, we don't oppose it, but these are things that the board ought to be aware of. And I'm happy to answer additional questions if you have them.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, just one last call for folks in the Zoom audience.
So this is gonna be left open, so if, as we get something up on the website with greater details, if people have additional comments or questions, please feel free. You may email or write or show up.
When will those documents be available and how can folks get access to that?
So it'll be on the next agenda when that gets posted, which is what usually,
Monday before the meeting of the week, because we have 2 weeks in
Yeah.
between,
So
so
as
they
soon as
should
we
get
have it,
it a
maybe we'll
week
update
on
this
Monday.
agenda.
Yeah, it should
Yeah.
be, they should have it almost a week and a half before the meeting.
Yeah.
As long as we stay on track with what we've been doing as far as timeline for agendas.
If we update this agenda with that information, will it trigger a notification that goes out to everyone? Because I don't want it to cause confusion if they're getting an agenda that's in the past.
So they're gonna get, when I send out the agenda for the next meeting, then if they're signed up to get notifications, they will get notifications that the agenda has been posted. So then they can go to the agenda website and.
So we're not gonna update this agenda.
We'll update the agenda, but it won't push out a notification.
Right,
Okay.
So anybody that's paying
That's what I was
attention,
yeah.
just check out this agenda, and we'll post something on social media and the website to say, hey, we've updated the agenda.
Yeah.
Jamie, I have something for you that I was.
Great.
Yeah, so you would send me that, fill out the yes, the letter.
Okay.
We'll be in touch then.
Thank you.
And then you marked up the first one. We're both signed.
Thank you.
Okay, so next up, we have a proposal. Next up, we have a proposal, from the county engineer of Avella, for the Murfield Drive drainage improvements. I know this is one we've been looking at for quite a while.
Yeah, so the Murfield area is in Drainage District 2, so this is a special district. Expense is not for all taxpayers, it's just for people in the district. But this particular development, when it was made, there was a holding tank buried in the ground at the end of the cul-de-sac for water that is now collapsing and needs to be replaced. So it's basically just an infrastructure project to replace an existing concrete vault with a new concrete vault, with engineering improvements that have been designed to hopefully have the new one last longer than the old one did. So that's really what it's for. So this, the approval today is to authorize Labella to do construction drawings, which would then go to bid to actually do the work. So this is allowing Labella to prepare the drawings and do the surveys and the testing and everything that they have to do. So I would make a motion to read what I'm supposed to do. I will make a motion to approve the proposal submitted by Labella for professional services for Murphy Drive stormwater improvement.
I will second. This item was, I think, on the first board meeting I attended.
This is Heather, who's been gone for a long time.
Good things take time and patience. I got my little car and drove over to check out the site. 3.5 years later, we're into the construction part.
Well, no, actually, this is
Planning
just.
construction.
The plan.
Okay.
If I've learned nothing else, being on the town board, it's patience.
Any other questions? Okay, all those in favor? Aye, opposed? Okay, motion carries. Do you wanna,
So I think, Rob's gonna talk a little bit about some of the other items that were from the.
Down the list.
let's do it.
So the first one I had tonight, this is not uncommon of what we normally get from, vendors and or people who work within our right of way. So I've actually got a permit request to work within the right of way up on Hendricks Road from Spectrum. They're looking to add 510 feet of underground cable. They're also going to be doing a directional bore under Hendricks Road near 8281 and 8283 decoy run. So I have looked the area over, and it's going to determine where the services are and where they're going to actually do it. So it may move a little bit, but I just need to have the supervisor sign and go ahead and sign the permit.
You're not gonna move the utility pole.
No, we're not moving anything. We're actually just extending it 510 feet. But they need a directional bore under Enders instead of cut the road. We're just going to do it by directional bore. So I'll just need a motion to have the supervisor sign after my signature.
So I would make a motion to approve Spectrum Charter Communications to install 510 feet of underground cable conduit coax from utility pole 18 on Andrews Road to their existing pedestal at 8281, 8283 depot.
Questions or comments?
Very interested in the horizontal boring.
Mhm.
We can do that.
Okay. We need to do it.
All those in favor? Aye, opposed? Okay, motion carries.
So in the next one I had, John, is the letter of intent. I just want to make sure I go over this properly because I know it's been a while since we actually did the original letter of intent for a consent for the cabin chassis, which was back in 2024. We did have that approved from Stadium International for the cabin chassis, but we're looking now to purchase the equipment, the plow equipment, sander body, dump body, and all the hydraulics. So this is gonna be a package deal, so we have to redo the letter of intentions, John. So at this point, we need to add an additional 164,979 for the equipment, all equipment again, and sander, dump body, and all the hydraulics. Again, that is been budgeted for in the 2025 budget, so I just need a motion to accept the new letter of intent for both the cabin chassis and the equipment.
Any questions? I think it's interesting that the plow package is actually more expensive than the truck.
It's first time ever. First time
This is
ever.
all this modern electronic, everything.
Yeah.
It's very fancy, measures all the solves and all this other
We're gonna
stuff.
take good care of it in state-of-the-art facility.
That's
What's
right.
that? Yeah.
We're gonna take care of it in
You
state-of-the-art
got it.
facility.
You got it.
So I'll make a motion to approve the letter of intent signed by Superintendent Highways for the purchase of a new and unused 2026 International HV 507 SFAA 4x2 chassis in the amount of $119,861 per proposal number 22818-01, and one new and unused plow package including hydraulic package, Everest MR 11-foot steel dump, and Highway 11-foot E 2020 XT sander in the amount of $164,979 per county contract 0010914 from Navistar Inc.
A second.
Okay, any questions? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion carries.
Thank you very much. Yes, sir. You
Then
got
it's
it.
coming back to me.
Yeah.
So this is also a project that has been in the works, but I would say maybe not quite as long as the Murfield.
No.
And This is moving to the next step. So this is for the highway garage project to actually bid for the construction people. So the planning is done and now we're working on bidding for the construction. So it would be the general contractor, there'll be a prime for electrician, there'll be one for site work. So it's putting all of these out, formal bid process. And then it'll come back to the clerk on a set day to be evaluated. Then our professional team that we engaged with the letter that we agreed to last month will evaluate the bids and make a recommendation for support. So this is authorizing us to send out that bid package. So I would make a motion to authorize the publication of the bid notice for construction of highway department garage additions and renovations.
Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay.
Oh, it's me again. All right, sorry. Okay. This is the season for bidding.
Yes, yes it is.
So going back the other way in town, the Skyward Water District, which has been happening long before any of us were here, is finally to the point of moving forward with their project. They have previously put out a bid for their water tower, which is now in the new plan is 2 short towers instead of 1 taller one. And we have now gotten those bids back. We have recommendation to go with the Aqua Store. So the motion is to award the bid for the Skyway Water District Supply 2025 Infrastructure Improvements Project Contract number 1 to Water Storage Tanks to Statewide Aqua Store Inc. in the amount of $655,000.
That's this potentially
Yes.
silly question. Who's gonna decide what color?
We actually, we decided on the blue because it was cheaper,
Okay,
but we did ask the residents if they wanted the green.
I understood the option based on landscaping and what you're gonna be looking at it for
Yeah.
a long time.
And so we did propose, we did allow the residents to have input, but they thought cheaper was
Cheaper is
better
better.
too.
Okay, thank you.
Well, especially because this did come in a little,
It came in a little higher than we were hoping.
and it's a pretty tight project, so.
Well, 2 instead of 1. So
Yeah.
The
So we
footprint's
brought
gotta
2.
be a little bit bigger.
So they're 2 18-gallon. So we had originally thought we could use 15-gallon, but they do a lot of analysis through these things.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion carries. Next up, we have Clerk's annual report.
So all it is just a basic snapshot of what we've done in the clerk's office over the past year in 2024. What we brought in as far as doing marriage license, dog license, permits, that kind of thing. So just a little snippet of what.
And how much we don't get to keep.
Correct. You are absolutely right. So that's just it, just to give you guys kind of
That's
an
why
idea.
they're, oh, here, we can pay the clerk, sir. Oh,
Yeah, no. Unfortunately not. Any questions regarding it?
I appreciated the detail. It was very
Yeah.
interesting.
I love the clarity. It's very
What's the difference between the efficient license and marriage efficient?
So the officiant license is a 24-hour license where somebody can come in and apply to become an officiant for 24 hours. They could do 7 or 8 different marriages within that 24-hour period.
And the 1-day marriage efficient is,
That's what that is.
what's the 1-day efficient license? Efficient license,
That's what I just explained, the 24 hours. And then the marriage officiant,
the 1-day marriage, so you have 1-day efficient license and then you have 1-day marriage efficient.
I think they're the same and we combined them
Yeah.
after we realized that there was 2 different accounts out there for it. It all depends on how they do it. They come in while the couple is getting their certificate, then we put it all as one and it's under one or the other of those titles. But if somebody just comes in and says, oh, I need a 1-day officiant, then it's under the 24-hour officiant or whatever it's like there.
They're different fees.
What's the fee on it?
The 1-day efficient license, $100, the 1-day marriage efficient is $125.
It all depends on if they're getting
No, I
it
think-
with the license.
They're the same price, there's 5 of these, 4 of those, so 9 total for 225. Fees charged, is what she's saying. Like they're 2 different titles for the same thing.
Yeah.
Each $25, so 4 of them for 100, 5 of them for 125, but they're essentially the same thing.
Thank you, William. I have it in front of me. And that compared to that. No, that's okay, that was my fault.
I was getting really confused myself now. And the like, I thought they were the same things too.
Yeah,
I'm getting-
sorry, that was my fault. I should have had the sheet in front of me.
Sure. Motion to accept the town clerk's annual report for 2024 as presented.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, carries, thank you very much. So then we have, all right, it's a little bit out of order, so we're gonna be on the motion sheet, we're gonna be skipping, one ahead. So this is, the NYSERDA agreement, this is for the $100,000 grant that we received from NYSERDA, that we are planning on spending on electric vehicles for planning and development and recreation. This is the agreement they had sent over. I had the attorneys review it about a month ago, and it just never made it onto a December agenda. And as opposed to every other experience we have, the vehicles are ready to go. So yes, I don't know what to tell you. It's very different than normal. So I'm just looking for approval of the contract so that we can get some information on NYSERDA, get to task number one, purchase the vehicles, and then complete task number two.
Three vehicles, right?
Great, so we have this is $100,000 grant, we already had a 20 and a 10 that there's not a contract for. Because we're smaller and we picked a pre-approved project.
So before I make the motion, this came together because of several years of work by Sustainable Manlius, where we accumulated enough points, so we got $100,000. So that's very exciting, so I'll make sure I send out an email to Sustainable Manlius once this is all finalized. And invite everyone to come check out the cars for the year, so thank you.
Was that your like the climate smart community stuff?
Clean energy communities.
Yeah, sorry, I can blind it too.
Hey, it happens to the best of us. You know,
There's so
climate-
many acronyms.
And they both have the word community, so
Yes.
and start with the C's, yeah, it's cool.
So that's how the place we're in, do that work.
Yeah,
Awesome.
we did several different actions for like heat pumps, like electric vehicles that we had to sell minimum or be a part of a project that sold a minimum number of them. And have certain number of people go solar and the community solar project on the landfill, like there were, every time we met with Amanda to discuss it, and she was like, I kept following up with her. Did we really get $100,000? We actually met that threshold. I didn't believe it. So anyway, happy to make the motion to authorize the supervisor to sign the agreement with New York State Energy Research and Development Authority for the purchase of electric vehicles.
I'll second.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion carries.
I think we're
Back in
Yeah. So, well, we have already received the 30,000. Those, the smaller ones, here's the money.
Not quite that easy, but it was easier than ours.
And so then we just have, the Board of Assessment appointments. We made some errors in appointing folks to 3-year terms, so we're just updating those terms, to be reflective of the rules, so.
I would like to make a motion to update the term of Celeste Griner for the Board of Assessment Review from 3-year term ending in October 2025 to a 5-year term ending in October 2027.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion carries.
And I'd like to make a motion to update the term for Linda Etchmore for the Board of Assessment Review for a 3-year term ending October 2026 to a 5-year term ending.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion carries. Next up, we've got some budget transfers.
Yeah, I was with the comptroller earlier, we attended,
So you're ready to
Deputy
give me
Supervisor
that?
and I both attended a comptroller's training this morning, which helped highlight why we do this. We in the nonprofit world do this already. So with that said, it's just a problem. So I'll make a motion to approve a budget transfer from DA 05.5142-410 snow removal gasoline and diesel fuel to HHO 5.8160-200 highway equipment expenditures in the amount of $50,000.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Make a motion to approve budget transfer from DA 05.5142.470 snow removal materials to HH 5.8160.200 highway equipment expenditures in the amount of $90,000.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion carries.
Make a motion to approve the budget transfer from A Fund 5132.448 garage cold storage building to HE 5.5132.200 salt storage facility cap O2 in the amount of $5,000.
Second.
Favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Finally, motion to approve budget transfer from A Fund 5.5132.448 garage cold storage building to HGO 5.5132.200 garage in the amount of $5,000.
Favor? Aye. Opposed?
Just to, for an explainer on this, the H funds are the reserve for the future. So we're just taking money that is left over December 31st and reserving it for these needs of the highway equipment, salt and trash.
Okay, next up, approval of the minutes from January 8th. Yes.
Make a motion to approve the meeting minutes from January 8th, 2025.
Those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion carries.
I would make a motion to approve abstract number 26, which is the last of 2024's, in the amount of $362,142.86.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion carries.
And abstract number 2, which is the second of 2025, in the amount of $470,386.09.
All those in favor? Aye.
And the winner is salt.
I will say, it's an interesting day when I see the snow plow and I go, oh, what was it, like $8,000 for salt on there? But I will say, I've heard nothing but compliments on
The
how.
roads are great.
Definitely know when you're driving out of town. I will say.
Good, good to hear.
And town plow road.
What's that?
For a town plow
Yes.
road.
Any other business, any?
Yes. Frosty Forest was this past Saturday. Thank you to everyone who attended, to all of our partners with it. We were able to collect $253, 931 pounds of food, which equals 1,535 meals for the food bank of Central New York.
It was pretty well attended.
Yes, it was very well attended.
It was, other than a little bit of rain, it was pretty cool too. It's not better than we've had.
It wasn't really.
No, it was Frosty Forest weather.
Thank God it wasn't frosty Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday.
Yeah.
Because that's been awful. My car had to be towed.
We have a couple things, Supervisor. So the Board of Ethics met last week. And just to give an update to the general town board, the Board of Ethics has been hard at work for the last few months, reviewing our compliance with our town code. And we've been reviewing various policies and procedures. The new town procurement policy that was updated is being reviewed for opinions right now. New town employee handbook and the development of annual financial disclosure forms and conflict of interest forms is a project that's ongoing now. We'll have opinions for this board to consider on the procurement policy and the employee handbook. And it's looking good. For the meeting in February, the Board of Ethics meets again on the 3rd of February. So whatever the next board meeting is, we'll have something for that. And then the other thing that watershed stewards met yesterday, really incredible and productive session with our neighboring town of Casanova supervisor. So a demonstration of responsible regionalism and knowing that water knows no boundaries and that people travel everywhere. It was a great opportunity to sit side by side with our planning and development town to look side by side at codes that they have. Now their watershed is, includes a beautiful lake, which draws attention and focus and volunteerism and a level of intense interest that we don't quite have here in town of Manlius, but we're developing a similar kind of sense of stewardship among the people. So to looking to learn from what our friends in town of Casanova have been doing a couple of years in advance of us, and it's really growing. So great things to come on that front. So
I'd like to thank Kyle Beaker.
yes, Bob Littler, their planning board chair.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, and they're very engaged with everybody. in the
Absolutely.
conversations.
Our citizen science group have done lots of questions. Our meetings are scheduled for an hour. We were an hour and a half to 2 hours. Anyway, just a very exciting time for the watershed stewards. So we'll be getting a lot of outcomes of that in the next 2 months.
Thank you, David.
So I do have one update. We were fortunate to receive word that we will be funded for a zoning project. This is an application that goes right in the summer and we wait 6 months to find out if anything happened. It did this time. So we will be doing a process of resident engagement again around this. It involves a resident advisory board to assist the professionals who will be hired by an RFP in the spring. And so just to announce that this is coming and people who have an interest in zoning or have land that they believe should be zoned differently from how it is now, this is a great opportunity for engagement to really think that through and maybe do something different with your property than what you thought you were going to be allowed to do. Or that your neighbor should not be allowed to do something that they are doing with their property. So either way, it's a good thing to have dialogue about. So that will be kicking off in the summer and last a whole year, so.
And I will say, I have had some conversations with the villages, specifically Fayetteville, about working together. I know Fayetteville has a similar grant. And while I don't think Manoa and Manlius have a similar grant, I think bringing them to the table as part of our zoning, rezoning project is going to be essential. So I will say, we've had some very productive conversations about working together on that. So hopeful to see everybody working together and at the end of the day, zoning, we have to explain it a lot first and then we have to ask the questions. So it'll be a fun process.
And I think the edges of the villages are where the action is in zoning, so it's very important to
Is this
follow.
a government efficiency grant?
It's not,
It's not.
this is actually through the DEC. It's a smart development.
We did have some conversations about like if we do find ways that there's like another project. One of the things we discussed would be like an overlay district that is essentially an extension of the villages. That would maybe inherit some of their design guidelines, so that, you know, in exchange for greater density or leeway and other things. So there's potential for something like that, but for right now, it's just, we're ready to do it. Okay.
So moved.
Mark, I'll second.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? I want to.
I'm gonna give it to you, there's some on it. Give it to someone.